I'm very proud of it. We changed everything. Everything.
Everything.
In the summer of 2009, 40 years later and 40 years older, the baby boomers returned. On the site of the original Woodstock Festival, there was a reunion concert, and again, the Urkelines had to go.
I think the majority of baby boomers are enjoying this 40th anniversary weekend because I think the majority of us loved growing up in the 60s, and Woodstock certainly represents that.
It was a free concert after all, so there you go.
This time the concert was anything but free. There were seats and a roof. Vendors offered everything from margaritas to memorabilia. A little older, a little grayer, they made the pilgrimage. Original artists such as Richie Havens.
Freedom, freedom. The Woodstock spirit is everywhere. It's everywhere. Sometimes I feel just like I'm a motherless child.
And their fans, who brought with them their memories.
I was 19 years old when I came here in 1969. I grew my beard right after this concert. I haven't shaved it off in 40 years. We found a voice. The voice was in our music.
I was at Woodstock in 1969. My whole life, I could have done nothing. And this is the most important thing I ever did.
Not everyone saw it that way. To many, Woodstock was the embodiment of excess and degradation, the signpost of a generation heading in the wrong direction.
The 60s, it was just an era of exceeding irresponsibility. I mean,
at the time, writer and humorist P.J. O'Rourke was a card-carrying member of that counterculture.
We were stoned the whole time. The sexuality was utterly irresponsible, utterly irreligious, and with no respect for any kind of authority. Yeah, we just left a trail of wreckage behind us. What a bunch of morons.
Well, you were not immune to all of that at the time.
Immune? I was right there, and I was moron. Well, I wasn't moron in chief. That would have been Abby Hoffman and Jerry Rubin. But I was up there. I was at least a colonel in the moron ranks.
What changed you?
Oh, adulthood. You know, time, responsibility, first real job.
The boomers, 78 million of them, are now well into adulthood, even if they don't always act their age. And while they may not agree on much, they do share a lot of common ground.
They were growing up in a period of time in which youth was being celebrated everywhere they looked. And so they knew that they were special in some kind of way.
Walker Smith is an authority on baby boomers and a boomer himself. He's written books on them and has spent 20 years analyzing the most comprehensive polling data ever collected about this generation. Many of his conclusions may come as a surprise. It seems to me that if there's a misconception about the baby boomers, it is that they were all at Woodstock or spending their entire time dancing in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco while hitting on a bong with James Taylor humming in the background.
Right. Yeah, there are a lot of stereotypes about baby boomers that lots of boomers will tell you don't fit them. Nevertheless, baby boomers do share a common experience. And that common experience is actually more fundamentally rooted in the promise of economic prosperity that was true of the post-World War II period in America.
Smith says the true unifying theme of this generation has been its optimism, a faith in the future, built on growing up during America's boom years of the 50s and 60s.
Boomers kind of grew up with this sense that their parents' dream, which was exemplified in something like the 1964 World's Fair, was going to be their future. We thought we were going to live in streamlined cities. Atomic energy was going to produce all our power for pennies. We were going to get around by monorail and hovercraft. We were going to dress in those kind of Jetson-like form-fitting spacesuits. Rosie was going to do all our chores for us.
Come and get it.
Smith heads a group, part of the Futures Company, that has spent decades studying the baby boomers, a term it practically invented back in the 60s. We all know what happened to the baby boomers in 1968. You had Dr. King killed, Bobby Kennedy killed. Yeah. But another calendar year for baby boomers that does not get Probably enough sufficient attention is 1979.
Sure, 1979, a year that opened with sirens at 3 Mile Island, a year that had Soviets in Afghanistan, hostages in Iran, Jimmy Carter's famous national malaise speech, inflation running at double digits, unemployment and interest rates headed there as well. This was a period of time in which baby boomers suddenly had to come to terms with the no uncertain realization that possibilities could suddenly run headlong into limits.
Most stations are out of gas by mid-morning.
It was a time of gas lines and something called stagflation. Nick Erkeline, a carpenter by trade, remembers the grim 70s all too well.
Economically, it sucked. It was pathetic. There was a period of time that I was out of work for 65 straight weeks, could not find a job.
Nick finally found work, eventually becoming a union official.
Okay, sweetie, open up big wide.
Bobby, a school nurse. The financial struggles shared by their generation changed many boomers, propelling them away from their idealism of the 60s, according to Smith.
What we saw in our data was that a new realism set in. Baby boomers became much more focused on self in a way that eventually was, talked about as selfishness, greed, this whole phenomenon that baby boomers have been criticized for.
Well, they went from wanting to live in communes to wanting to live in Greenwich.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it was communes to co-ops, essentially.
And that's not the only thing that makes the Erkelines uncomfortable about the baby boomers of today. Studies have shown dramatic gains by the wealthiest Americans, while the middle class has been left behind.
A lot of people identify themselves with how much stuff they have. How much is enough?
For the rest of us to have the scraps is kind of crazy.
Something else. The Erkelines have lived less than an hour's drive from Woodstock their entire married lives. And they say that in the past 10 years, everything has changed.
We don't know our neighbors. And this is a small 3,500 population town. We've become a bedroom community. We don't have the communal...
The sense of community.
The sense of community.
I'll do a few songs we did back in the day.
It's not the same as it was. And that's sad, because growing up in the 60s, I'd do it again. It was a great time.
What's the best description of the boomers today? Walker Smith calls them Generation Ageless. If you watch television commercials, you know that baby boomers think they're going to live forever and have all their powers forever.
Right.
Everything from Viagra to any kind of vitamin that you can possibly imagine.
This whole notion of not getting older is how baby boomers are approaching old age.
The fight against age and mortality is a losing battle. Everyone knows that, except maybe the boomers themselves. The blissful memory of that muddy, messy happening 4 decades ago still is with some of them every day.
Clap your hands, clap your hands.
It's still there. It's part of us. The music is us. I don't know how else to describe it.
Up next, a child of the baby boom who gave everything. There was an awakening, in a way, about what was going on here racially.
Yeah, when I think about the 16th Street bombing, forced America to see how barbaric and how much terror America had permitted, America would no longer take business as usual.
The struggle for equality when Boomers continues.
Seductive wolf in sheep's clothing.
It was all the image, fake it till you make it.
Snares a Hollywood princess, a president, and an even higher authority. American Greed, tomorrow, 9 Eastern on CNBC.
With an A+ credit rating in good times and bad, Sun Life Financial should be famous. We're working on it.
So you're seriously proposing we change our name to Sun Life Valley?
Do we still get to go skiing?
Sooner or later, you'll know our name. Sun Life Financial.
It guides. It shows. It slides. It tows. It sees. It calls. And it fits.